guys, welcome back to the channel, Top Mod Things. Today we're going to be working on the Pandem build on the Porsche Cayman. Been sort of mulling it over recently with where I'm taking it, certain things, because kind of now's the stage to kind of flesh out all of the possibilities as such before it actually gets wrapped and sent off for all the final prep work. As some of you know from previous videos, I was sent a Pandem rear bumper with it as well, with the big ducktail on the back. I was kind of umming and ahhing as to whether I'd actually use it, because I've never been 100% keen on the style of it, but I know there's, as with other things I've done on the car, certain things that I can change on it to make it a little bit more like my style. But I was just sort of eyeing it up the other day and thinking, do I just sort of go ahead and just get it on the car and then start to make a decision on whether I actually like it or not. Main issue with it is that it'll potentially mean I'll have to take the rear deck lid, Tech Art sort of style deck lid that I've got at the moment for the wing off. And then I do have that GT2 massive thing that, if it, depending on how today goes, I might place it on the car and see what it looks like. But I'd always thought maybe I wouldn't use that, but you know, things change. Let's just see what happens and take you along for the ride. So let's just get into it. Right, so first up, what I've done is I've just taken off the deck across the back, bolts on each side. That's now sitting over here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of the uprights on there to take some of the weight out of the back so I can lift the whole thing up. Start to remove the rear lights as well, because the rear wing's already removed. Don't need to worry about that because this obviously replaces where that wing used to sit underneath the sort of OEM one. And then I think there's a couple of bolts inside, and then obviously I need to take the ones off that I've put in for the over fenders. And then there's two, I think, underneath. Two on the bottom edge on each side as well. And then the whole thing should hopefully then remove off once I've disconnected the cable in for the rear number plate lights. And then again, just to remind everyone, what I'm planning to put on is this rear bumper. I don't know, it could look cool. This bit in the middle is the bit that kind of puts me off a little bit. I'll try and get the lighting up slightly on it so you can kind of see it better. But it's just how, I guess better. It's just how this all sits, just not convinced. But we'll chuck it on, we'll have a look. It could look really cool, or maybe I just need to do almost a full delete from here up all the way across and down here, and then build a full diffuser in the middle, because as I've suggested on other videos, the normal aperture for the exhaust isn't going to be what's on the car for the sort of final iteration of the project. I've got some big ideas as to where I want to put it, or put them, should I say. So sort of get onto that at a later date once it's finished. And then this is that GT2 old 993 style rear deck thing that someone's done before, sort of sat on the back, and it did look really cool on their build. But I'm just not fully sure if I want to go full RWB styling, or whether I want to do sort of a little bit of my own thing, because I was contemplating, if this does have to get removed, having some sort of like chassis mount all the way up over the ducktail that will be on the back and then back in on itself, and that could look really cool, because I don't really want to have the whole swan neck thing that everyone does on the Pandem builds, because it's just not my thing. I'm just not convinced that that's the right way to go. So a full chassis mount back and then in on itself could look really smart. So anyway, just going to get into it. Excuse the mess in the rear, as I say, daily driver life. Just thought I'd quickly show. I know there's a couple of videos on YouTube to show exactly how to do this, but just in here you've got these panels. Each one's got like a plastic twist knob type thing, and then behind there, as you can see out there, you've got your connector, which is connected in to the rear lights. And then see if we can see one just in the background, just there. You can see one of the nuts. There are three of those all the way around the lights, and you use those to essentially adjust where this light sits correctly in this aperture, because this does have some movement, so it can kind of go up left and right and stuff. So you'll see on some cars where they've not lined them up correctly and everything's not sitting sort of flush. So anyway, so once you've taken those out, the whole light unit will just pop straight out. So we'll just get that done now. There we go, just like that, both rear lights out. It really did just take 5 minutes. As I say, it's just these little nuts on the rear of that. So it's just three of those. You just take them off and job done. They're out. So I think the Torx ones I'm looking for, one up here, and then I think should be one in here somewhere. I think it's that one there, yeah, that just ties the two panels together. So that's those two for that, and then I can run through and start to take out the rest of them. So say we'll take these over fender ones off for here as well, and then we can get on to removing the whole bumper. Right, well, it's decided to absolutely hoon it down outside, so apologies for the rain noise, but rear bumper's off, which is all good. Wiring for the rear view camera that's in the old bumper where the license plate lights are. One of them's been converted to have a little camera in it, which was cool. Did that a while ago, so you won't see these wires if you do this yourself. Turns out that the ones in the wheel wells, the bolts weren't actually in there. No idea why that is. Not sure the bumper's been taken off at any point. I mean, as I say, I've got no idea. I don't know whether it was taken off for the wrap and then bolts weren't in there, or forgot to put back in, or when the people who did the rear spoiler that took all of this off didn't put it back together. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's done now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rear bumper, start to line it up. I think you have to do some slight trimming on the bash bar ever so slightly to get it to fit, and I think the rear fender liners have to be adjusted as well, but we're going to approach that when it goes on and we'll see what it looks like and see whether or not this fits with it. So moment of truth. Right, and we're not even, bumper's not even on yet, but we can clearly tell that this rear wing is not going to work with this setup at the moment. It did just come a little bit too far back, so even I was thinking maybe I'd get away with the curvature of these two things together. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could chop that rear section off, and then it would almost act like a big thing, but at this stage I'm not sure whether I'm going to keep it with this ducktail on the back or whether I keep this. As I say, thinking could get it off the bash bar or something, or mount a plate to a chassis and then come out from the back, sort of in a swan neck over the top, and then sort of mount it up here after that, so it would kind of follow the curvature of this. I'd need to CAD that up and then get something cut out, but it's an option. It's definitely an option. So what I'm going to do, lift this up, I'm going to start to move some things around. At the moment what I can see is that down here this is going to have some problems with this, and I might have to actually take all of the over fender off pretty much, so that I can kind of almost flex it all the way out to then flex it in behind. But we'll see. Say some scratches and stuff here that will need to be worked out, but yeah, I don't know. It could look cool. We'll see how it goes on and see what it fits like. Alright, so as things go, progressing probably a little bit further than I was expecting to today, and general plan is to actually take all the kit off. So I'm going to get the rear bumper, all kind of this new one, sort of fitted, start to sand down all the edges and stuff, just to kind of get it to fit just how it needs to. So even if I do or don't use it, at least I know that it's kind of together and will go on the car. Then essentially what I've done is I've taken off all of the one side at the moment, bar the front fenders, and then I'm going to start to do all the final edging and prep work and all that sort of, excuse the noise, small bits to get it fully finished so that it can then go and get wrapped, because sort of having to take some of it off anyway to get the bumper on, I just thought let's just go the whole hog. So at the moment the car's covered in holes, so I'm going to have to cover those with some tape and stuff, which I'll have to roll around with in the meantime. But yeah, so coming together, so I'll get back to you as soon as the bumper's on the car. Right, so we just got the rear bumper sort of on and started to fit it up. Made some small trims around here just to kind of get it so it sits flush against. There's like a little fixing point in here that clips onto a sort of a fixing that sits just there. What I'm doing now is where I had the same problem with the GT4 front bumper as well with the fiberglass. Just needs a little bit of rework just around these seam edges basically to get it to sit flush with the car. There's always a bit of extra material on these kind of tight corners on fiberglass bits. Same principle over here, so all I've done is I've just kind of put some masking tape on to the sort of area that I want to kind of come up to first, put it back up against the surface. If it needs a bit more, reapply over taped, and then just keep going in sort of iterative steps until it sort of all looks to fit properly. And then what I'll probably need to do is, where you've got this seam that runs all the way down here, which is where the boot lid sits, I'll probably do a little bit of work around this as well, but I'll do this bit once this bit's sorted, because then I can either build up or sand back this to kind of sit nicely with this area. But I think I'm probably going to use this. Going to make some adjustments to the rear diffuser section. As I say, I've never really liked this bit, so what I might end up doing is kind of almost lopping this all the way across and then out the other side, and then building a full diffuser underneath that will mount all the way along, and do something like that. And then I'm thinking chassis mount here and here, coming out up the top of the deck, the ducktail, sorry, over the back on itself a little bit, and then sat up there basically. So there'll be these huge chassis mount bits, and then probably tie it down to the deck lid, or I don't know, put some cross bracing in, because those bits are going to be absolutely massive. So anyway, so yeah, I'm just going to carry on with this, and I'll come back to you as soon as it's all fitted. Right, so this rear wing's giving me a little bit of trouble at the moment, so we've resorted to trusty friend Mr. Mallet and some flat-headed screwdrivers, and we're just going to bash it until it comes off basically. So hopefully we don't damage anything, but obviously the whole rear deck lid's going to need to be smoothed off and stuff anyway, because of all the bonding stuff that's going to be all over it. So just going to get on with that now. Right, look at that absolute mess. So Mr. Mallet and Mr. Screwdriver essentially got this off, which is cool, all in one piece, no cracks and stuff, which is great. So can put this back up for sale and get rid of it. This is going to require, obviously all the wrap needs to come off in certain areas. Scratched it all the way down until the sort of the metal work, so the whole thing's going to need to be blown over with primer before it then gets rewrapped. As I say, this is getting into a bit of a much bigger project than originally anticipated, but hey ho, here's what it is. It's a project, but I needed to get this off so that I could get these edges down here all lined up, and you see I've started to rework this edge here. This is starting to look much better, and starting to kind of fit as it needs to, and then I can kind of take off the sharp edges and add a bit of a rad on, kind of like they are here, so it all kind of looks a bit seamless. So yeah, I'm just going to start taking off the rest of this sort of Bondo and stuff, just to clean up all the edges, and then I can start to make sure it's going to fit properly. Looking at this seam edge down here, this is going to be probably where the most bit of work's going to need to be done. So as it gets really quite tight around here, I'm going to need to sort of relieve this area around here. It gets quite a big gap in the middle, so I'm probably going to need to do something here to get it to sit much better, because at the moment the fitment's not great on it. And then similar thing in this corner, but not so bad, where this corner just needs to be redone as well. Might be okay, but I'll just make some adjustments to the little rubber stoppers underneath as well, because that could help, because they've been extended all the way out for the rear wing that was on it, because it was quite heavy. But for this, because there's now no weight in it, it's going to be a bit easier, so I can do that now. Right, and then just for the sheer hell of it, because we're now in a situation where I can put it on, this was plan number one, which has obviously changed quite a bit since then, but it was going to be this sort of 993 RWB build with the wide kit obviously on it as well, with this sort of ducktail rear end. So it kind of looks like it should have matched up, and I know I put his Instagram up a little while ago when I showed this to start with, but not cutting the arches just yet, still in the process of sorting out wheels for this. Hopefully waiting for a render of the wheel specs that I've requested from a company. So once that stuff starts to get sorted out, I'll drop the sort of name and stuff into the sort of the comments and stuff of where to get them from. So anyway, just to show what I did here, some people I've seen fully cut out all of this arch liner, but what I've done is I've just kind of cut it up to a level at the moment you can just see here, where it just sort of comes up and then lips over the top, and depending on what I end up doing with wheels and stuff, we'll see what the clearance is like. But as the whole thing sits further back anyway, this I might fill the gap over here anyway, and then be able to keep the original arch liner in, which will help with keeping all the debris and stuff out of the rear end. And I think we can say that that's looking pretty damn good fitment wise. Might need a tiny bit more work around here, but overall really happy with how that's all come together. Lights kind of fit perfectly really with the aperture of the kit and stuff. Everything seems to line up now that I've reworked all the areas that kind of we've run through in the video. So yeah, overall, boot lid down. So that's probably it for this video. It was just going to be just to show the rear end, getting the bumper off, putting the new one on, work that was required in tweaking all the edges and stuff. So that's all cool. Now that I've taken all like the sides off, basically I can pull the car out of the garage and then have free reign of the garage basically to start finishing up all of the filler work and blocking and making sure that everything's as good as it can, as good as I can get it, let's say, before I then send it off to get painted. There's probably bodywork people and stuff that will watch this and go, Jesus, what the hell are you doing? Like, you're doing it completely wrong. But hey, you don't learn unless you do it. So until I'm told otherwise, I'll just do what I think is correct. So yeah, so don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy the building stuff. I know I definitely am. When I get a chance to actually do it, that's the main thing that's holding me up at the moment. So yeah, it's going to be all go now, just finishing up all the kit, and we'll send it off, we'll get it wrapped, and then bung it back on the car. Hopefully by that point wheels have turned up, and then the whole thing should then suddenly crash together, let's say, and suddenly the car will look almost sorted until we sort out what we're going to do about the low situation as well, and also the wing mounts as well. I need to get that sort of designed up. But yeah, overall I think it's going pretty well, learning as we go. So yeah, so thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to follow a bit more. Instagram and stuff will be at the end of the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.